we are your cohort members discussing the second discussion of Vanishing Half today. I'm Dr. Nicole Carter, and
I am Dr. Danisha Blake.
And we're excited to go through chapter 7 through 13 with you. Some juiciness. So we'll start with part 3. Part 3 is the theme or title of it is Heartlines, and it takes place in 1968. And it's really exploring Stella's experiences in this Brentwood neighborhood, and what happens when a Black family who is not passing moves into the neighborhood. So I'll start off with the questions. So the first question: how does Stella's relationship with her daughter mirror her relationship with her own mother? So in that section, we see a lot of really, I guess, like communication between all of them, really, Blake and the daughter and Stella. But what are your thoughts on it?
This was, I feel like we asked this question last time, and I felt like I didn't get a sense of how Stella related to her mother. Like I didn't see the connection there really, but I will say that like overall, I felt like I felt like in general, both, what was her name? Desiree had a very distant relationship with Jude, and the same thing, I think so with Kennedy and Stella. Like I think they both I think also if they were switched, and I think they talked about that, if they were like switched, they would probably have like a deeper relationship. But I really didn't, and maybe this is because I missed it, but I didn't really see their relationship. Maybe, you know what, now I'm thinking about it, I think there was a part in there where they talked about how once, like Adele really didn't, I don't know if they said she didn't really like her daughters, but she definitely loved her husband. And so she, I think they were saying like there was this deeper connection with her and Leon than it was with her daughters. And so I do think that may have an effect on just how Stella is in relationship with her daughter.
Yeah, I feel like it was very distant as well. Yeah. I feel like it was distant with Desiree and Stella and their mother, just as you stated. And then I actually see Jude being closer to Desiree than Stella.
Yeah.
And why am I blanking on her name right now? Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
Kennedy are. But I also kept thinking about the relationship between them and the incident of Kennedy calling the neighbor out of her name. We're not gonna say the word, I guess, but and the reluctance to even demonstrate that she said anything wrong, right? So it was like coddling. It was almost like she didn't know how to parent.
Right.
Like she was just like, so you're my daughter and here I am.
Yeah. Because even like they were talking about, I don't know, this might be been at like toward the end, but even just when like Kennedy was expecting her to like do things like motherly, like sharing the chores or, you know, stuff like that, where she was expecting her to like come and like, come on, help me roll this, you know, these biscuits or something like that. Like there was just that just wasn't natural to her.
Yeah. And I also feel like she projected her actual blackness onto Kennedy as well, in terms of education, because so she saw education as extremely important, and lamps falling, as extremely important, and verbalized it often to Kennedy, and was disappointed But like, I guess she didn't see, like, she didn't understand like what white womanhood can get you, like the privileges, even without an education. So, but yeah. So someone in the chat put Colton 911, Agent by Her Side by Deborah Fletcher Mello. I don't know. So,
is that a recommendation?
like maybe something that's similar or yeah.
I'll look it up.
And then someone else said her own life experiences did not compute that her white wealthy daughter would not need an education.
Exactly. Yeah. She was still kind of operating from, even deep down inside, she was still operating from this perspective that like, you're not gonna make it if you don't have an education. And she was, and Kennedy, I don't think Kennedy recognized it, obviously. She was a little bit, but she didn't have to, right? Like that's the whole point, is that she didn't have to realize like that there was tension, because there was this understanding about education being a source of access for her. Like that didn't, I don't think, occurred to Kennedy at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next question: in what ways does Stella's past contribute to her present day decision to pass as a white woman?
Let's see what I wrote down for that.
Well, I can start if you want. Like, well, so I don't know. Like, so I feel like she had, well, specifically, we learned about the one experience that she had where she was able to pass when she was younger. And I feel like that kind of just promoted that, or gave her like the space to like an opening, like, oh, so I can do this.
Yes.
So let me just try it. Like, because I mean, the reality is that they see, even in their community, like this light-skinned community, the lighter you are, the easier it becomes, right?
Yeah.
Totally. And well, in that community, and so why not just continue going?
Yep.
All the way. And so I think she realizes like the privilege that comes along with whiteness. So and she just uses it and goes all the way.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, it was like a gateway. I literally a gateway into this access. And I mean, she was just like, why not? I mean, why not? You know, like, because the point of the whole, I think there was this line in there to like, the construction of the town was to create or a more perfect Negro. And she was like, well, I don't even need to be a perfect Negro. I just need to be like not at all. And so she definitely, and I think this is also, I'm probably skipping ahead, but she also sees it as like practical. Like, why wouldn't I do that? Like, that makes sense. So
yeah.
Someone
brought up like it would, she could avoid the trauma she suffered watching her father be killed. So like, yeah, like she wouldn't necessarily have to experience that anymore. Like if she just inserted herself in whiteness all the way.
Right.
And someone else said they feel like she associated Blackness with suffering and wanted to escape that. Yeah. Absolutely. She saw like everything that she saw related to whiteness was about like privilege.
Yep. You kind of broke up there. I can't hear you. Uh-oh. I think it's okay. I can hear you now.
You can? Okay. So I was just saying that I feel like I agree with the comment, and that Blackness was associated with suffering for her. And so whiteness her to escape that and to enter into spaces and opportunities that she wouldn't have otherwise. So
exactly.
I'm gonna post this one. So I wonder why she didn't share passing as an escape with her sister. Did she know Desiree wouldn't be down with the plan? I'm still not over the abandoning her. Why couldn't they take the trauma together?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, and Akil said, did she have to leave Desiree high and dry to pass though? And like
this is my beef with Stella the whole time. Is I think that, like, I get why some people were like, I understand why she would pass, but I'm like, but you're passing in isolation of your community, of your family. And so, like, how do you, like, you're not connected to anybody anymore. And so now you're just living this life and you're not even like sending money back. Like, you're just there and it's just for you as an individual. And so I had a hard time like accepting, I guess not accepting, but I guess seeing like the benefit for her, because I mean, there are people who are just like, it's me, it's all about me and my, you know, well-being. But I agree with the people who are like, she just left Desiree and didn't even come back. Like, that's it.
So. I mean, it was like, I'm out. Like, I'm not even. And some people in the chat said Desiree
black. She was trying to get away. She was like, listen, I mean, she recognized that the whole, you know, community was so, what is the word, color struck. And so, you know, she went with it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like she, again, saw opportunity. She took the opportunity. Like, she just went with it. And and I do feel like some people in the chat said that being a twin, she wanted to separate herself. Like, and she didn't want that connection anymore. And actually, like, Desiree was the one who like encouraged her to apply for this job where she would have to pass in the first place.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. It's messy. It's a little
it is. We got a lot of comments.
Yeah.
Was the isolation and fear worth it? I don't think so. I mean, to have to maintain the facade of being white, that I just felt stressed the whole time. Like,
like, well, I mean, like, I feel like I've read so many other, well, not so many other, but other books like Nella Larson's Past.
Yeah.
You know, like, so other books where this was a thing, right? Like, and so this to me was just the same.
Right.
And I don't know if you listened to the last discussion, but I have like family members.
Yeah, that was wild to me.
On my mother's side of the family who passed, like who are passing at this moment
right now.
Are they have severed all communication. And they did so like when I was 5, 6, between 5 and 7. So like
you're living.
like, live your life, sis.
But it's gotta be worth it, I guess.
And somebody said like she was fair skinned herself, so she could have passed. But also, it's recognizing that Blackness is not just skin tone. Like our Blackness is like personality. Our Blackness is like how we show up in this world. And like for her, I mean, even like marrying who she did, Desiree marrying who she did. I think for her, Blackness, like she was too Black for that. Like I'm not, that's something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
But who knows? We don't know. Like she could, I mean, if given the option, who knows? But somebody said, wow, couldn't imagine doing that in this day and age. But it happens. We have it, I mean, it's white folks who pass and some, like, we know that though.
Okay, yeah. Well, just
people that they are not, and then they get like put on blast. But
that was a good question. Somebody put a question up. That's what made me mad about Mallard in general, is what is their culture outside of trying to be white?
I don't know, because it definitely wasn't like economic stability.
Yeah.
It wasn't, yeah, that wasn't a thing. Because if that was the case, then like Stella and Desiree could have stayed in school. Their mom wouldn't have to work at. So it's like you're doing all this for what? Like, what is your? It hasn't created a circumstance for you to improve your life,
Right.
except for Stella later. So,
Right. Stella was like, let's operationalize this because y'all in here in this small community. Did somebody say last week inbreeding?
oh,
Did somebody say that in the comments? I don't
I
know.
think so. Yes.
But anyway, yeah, they just in there multiply and it not making use. So I guess that's the benefit.
Well, that's true, because like, how you finding these people?
I know. Listen, nobody come out, ain't nobody coming in. Is that what it is?
Okay. Someone say yes, they did. Say everything.
I can't see who that is, but okay, girl.
So this one is about Loretta, who is part of the Black family that moves into the neighborhood that Stella and Blake were living in. So when Loretta, a Black woman, moves into Stella's neighborhood, what does her presence begin to represent for Stella? Also, another question connected to it: how does the relationship between their children impact Stella's ongoing struggle with her identity?
I think that I kind of want to know, like, when this gets casted, who's gonna play Loretta. But I think that Loretta definitely felt like, I think Stella also felt like, dang, like we still ended up in the same place, but I had to do all of this. Like she gets to be Black in her Blackness, have her Black friends come over, and I think that there was a little bit of like, oh, okay. So I think she might have felt like she was missing out, or at least see. I think she could see, or at least there was a mirror held up to like what her life could have been if she wouldn't have been out here trying to pretend. So
Yeah, definitely. And what it could have been financially, like, so perhaps what those in Mallard thought it would have been like for light skinned families to be in their own community.
yeah.
But instead, like, she sees what it's like to, like, you have access to the same space.
Yeah.
Even though the circumstances are problematic. But I think like for her, like, we see this like this mental disruption, if you will, like internal issue going on, like even with her blowing up at that party, right? Like she's like like, leave me the hell alone. Like,
what is happening right now?
Yeah, like, this is, first of all, this is my house, y'all in my house, and y'all like doing all this. So so, but yeah, like I feel like it, like exactly what you said, it's a mirror. It's like, and so she wants to like actually go into that space and just be, and like just like she wanted her Loretta to actually find her out, you know.
Yeah, I just want to feel that, like, she wanted that hug, that she wanted to lay on the bosom and just like
let's smoke a cigarette next to each other. Our daughter's playing, like, let's just.
She wanted a taste of the life that could have been. But I think like, the one thing I did think about was like Stella is a person who doesn't like take, like, I think somebody else said she's calculated, and she, even that whole conversation about her and statistics, like she's not one for taking chances. So I think like even though she may have ended up in the same place, being a Black, like being herself, and I think she didn't want to take that chance, like, so whereas like I think Loretta could have gone either way, right? But, for her, I think she was like, no, this is, solid. Like this is a sure way in to access to privilege.
Yeah, like she would have never disclosed, well, herself, I don't think. So we again culture and showing the trickle down effect it has generationally. Desiree on one extreme and Stella on the other. Yeah, I think it's really need a conversation that we need to have right now.
Yeah.
So and then we have I think Stella liked her return proximity to Blackness through Loretta and her daughter, but she also resents her for being comfortable in her. She is definitely in her Blackness, and you can tell she is like cool with not being invited to the party. Sis, like I'm good. Like come over after. Like, so also that she could have made it into the life she wanted being herself. Yep. Just like not pretending to be a Karen. Oh my God.
She was a Karen. Karen. Like not even just like a woman, what does Amanda Seales says, a woman who happens to be white? Like she is a straight up Karen.
Yes.
But it also shows us like the work you have to do to maintain whiteness, which is why I don't believe whiteness is freedom. Like I think that at one point they said like, so in some way they try to associate being white with being free. And I'm like, but you have to maintain it. Like you have to do all of these things to wield power in order to maintain this arbitrary category of whiteness. And I just feel like that's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to intentionally like create barriers through systemic, like different tools and things like that. And you have to you have to intentionally decide to hate somebody else. Like, and so that's a lot on your soul. Like,
I'm like, I don't know what the afterlife is, but listen, I don't know. I can't. Karma is.
Yeah. Someone else said, because Loretta went to a HBCU, which Stella wanted to do. So she went to Howard, and like Stella reflected back on like that being one of the schools that she looked through their brochure like over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So basically, this is the life she wanted.
That's it. That's why I think I'm interested in if they're going, because they didn't describe her as a light-skinned woman. Not that I knew of, but if it was, I think that would be an interesting, like, what is it, foil? If she's like, oh man, she's exactly me, but she's a Black woman.
Yeah. So interesting. That would be very So, someone said I haven't finished the book yet, but I feel like Stella didn't receive enough karma for me yet.
Y'all want her to be punished.
Very rude. She was rude when she was like saying the stuff about Black folks. Like, sis, I need you to really reflect back to like 2 years ago.
But also that part, I think we did read this. This was a part of the part that we are reading where she sort of slyly said that thing about Loretta's husband, which led to them having to like leave. I'm sorry, the person who didn't finish the book. I don't know how far you are, but yeah, like that was such a Karen move. Like she was just, I don't know, I didn't feel comfortable. Ma'am, he is helping you with your groceries.
Sis, you felt comfortable when he was helping you though.
Yeah, she was like, oh. She just so, and she did not know that they would take that up. And I'm like, really?
Like they like basically forced them out like every day. It was something new. Yeah. So
they were chilling. They was like, we ain't gonna do anything. We just gonna let them live. And then they was like, oh, she made, they had to protect their, white.
But that's the typical storyline. The white woman cries wolf.
Yep.
And then they come to like protect
you. Yeah.
So,
or they have a justification for doing what they already wanted to do, for real.
Yeah. Someone said this makes me think of all these folks running around with these and attitudes. I mean, it's learned. It's not something that just Stella is a whole white woman. She morphed into a Karen. She is. I feel like she is performing and she is performing well. Like she could be Karen right now, today. And she'll be one of the ones we see on social media, like being reported. Like for doing stupid stuff, like the person selling a water bottle and they calling the police on them. That's who she is. She has she deserves an Oscar.
She does. So. Performance.
Someone said, I kind of don't want them to cast Loretta as a light-skinned woman, so it's even more extreme. Like I couldn't pass, and I still made it to where you are.
Yeah.
That's true. Like, sis, you really messed up. Like, your life could have been like. She was threatened that they would see her blackness. Yeah, I definitely. I think she had, but she also had to like uphold this like role, like redeem herself. So, it makes me mad that Stella was the driving force behind them leaving.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to enter blackness, bring other people up as well.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
They mean whiteness, or did they mean? Oh yeah. If you're gonna, I think that person meant
whiteness. Yeah.
Whiteness. Yes. Use it as a tool. Like have some politics behind it. You know.
Yeah.
Don't just be out here by yourself.
It's like even now, like we talk about allyship with white folks, and so like that same premise. Like if you say that you're like anti-racist, which is to me like we need to delve into that term anyway. But like if you say that you're anti-racist, like use your privilege to be a co-conspirator instead of just like sitting back like, so I'm not racist and I don't think this is right, but but Stella not having friends was strange to me. She isolated herself so much that she didn't really live as a white woman.
Yeah.
Then she was quick to befriend Loretta. Yeah. I think it's hard, like if your whole life is a lie. So, and friends, true friendship means that you're being transparent and authentic, hopefully. And so that was impossible for her, like to be friends with other white women. But I do believe that she saw in Loretta maybe the possibility that one day she could be herself. But then she had to like,
she had to back it up. She was like, "Oh, yeah, too good. I'm looking at my bank account. It's too good. I'm going through school. You know, like she was not with it."
Someone said that was my thing. She was so protective of maintaining her position and didn't care to look back and help. She knew her family situation in Mallard and couldn't stop an anonymous check in the mail. And true, like the whole thing is like, so by dropping an anonymous check in the mail, that would also mean like other people being privy to her sending things to Mallard. Like, why are you sending this to Mallard? Like, what's happening here? And I guess it could have been done like with her newfound like career and stuff like that with the money that she made there. But
yeah.
And then she knew she didn't really belong in the white community. She had to keep track of the lies. Even her daughter caught her in her lies.
She wasn't playing. She knew.
Yeah. And someone said, go with. Not finished with the book, but I feel that if she was honest with Blake, his character in the book seems like an understanding person that would still protect her in some way. I don't know. Fictional reads get me.
Y'all like very moderate, north, waspy gentleman from Boston. Y'all like he
not giving up that privilege though.
Blake is creepy though. Like, you gotta remember the context for how they got together. Come on now. Power dynamics.
So here's the thing, like, we are talking a lot about race and not really talking about the intersections of like identity here, because Blake is a creep. He like so you just asked your secretary to move out of state with you to help you. Like, I need a secretary, so come with me. Like, so he is
creepy. Forced her into having dinner in the first place. Like, she did not have any agency
at all.
And he knew that, which is why he could just dangle this carrot in front of her and like move her along. And it's like, nah.
And then picking food for you, like you can't even pick your own food. And then when she decides later to go and get an education and to further her career and to work and to grade papers, his thing is like, yeah, you're doing too much. Like, that's not what we do here. Like, it's fine. And it's like, no, it's not fine, bro. Like, she's trying to tell you like she needs more, but there apparently are people who believe that Blake is a zaddy. So
zaddy is reserved for a particular kind of gentleman. He is not a zaddy, okay?
Yeah. So someone said, I don't know, he seemed nice because he knew her to be a white woman. Would he have been as nice? I don't think so. I don't think he's not going to, lose that privilege. So, let's see. As much as I wanted to see Stella pay, the prison she built for herself was okay with me. I mean, she was stuck in there though. Like, she created this life. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, and maybe we don't get it because we're not her. But I feel that was reflective of the time women, because secretaries to meet a husband retired to being a Mrs. It's possible. Doesn't take away from the fact that it's problematic though. So like, and I mean, even like her not working outside of the household at that time was very, like once they got married, was very of the time, but still problematic if a woman decided that, hey, this is something I want to do. Like, I want to have a career. Like, I'm not just a stay-at-home mom, even though she did, or housewife, that's the term that they use in the book. So, she did still call herself that eventually. But didn't he say he didn't want a secretary who was pretty? Is he okay? You don't know how to control yourself.
He did say that. He
did.
Bring me somebody who got good handwriting, pretty handwriting, and a beat up face. That's what
So someone said he knew she was vulnerable and wanted to maintain power over her. It's about power. Like, all of this is about power dynamics and how it's playing out just in different ways. I don't know. Blake came for money. He may feel some type of way about Stella if she told him the truth, especially since his mother was suspicious of her. His mama would have been ready with the "I told you so." His mama, I feel like,
that mama was rough.
Yeah, she can stay over there. But so is he a creeper? I have to keep reading. He seems like a charmer, but the picking the soup for her was jarring. No to Blake, the zaddy.
Blake might be a starring role in this book. Oh Lord.
So another question. What do you think of Stella and Loretta's budding relationship? What ideas or identities does Loretta symbolize? I think we talked about that a lot, actually. Yeah, we did. It was basically a mirror for her, like what she could have been, but she gave up. Consider the picturesque performance of Blake and Stella's relationship in contrast with the reality of their relationship and Stella's feelings role within it. How does her idealistic relationship with her wealthy white husband compare to her sister's relationship with Sam? Why do you think author Britt Bennett placed them within these specific relationship dynamics?
See, I don't want to get
a question.
I just don't want us to think that, there was something good about Blake and Stella's relationship just because it was tied to wealth and whiteness. Like, yeah. I mean, I think there was a different type of, I'm not gonna, be hyperbolic, whatever that word is, and say that like there was a type of violence, but I think there was a type of control that Blake had over Stella, and it manifested in different ways. And I think that the same thing with Sam, it was more overt, which is why we can kind of sit here and be like, oh yeah, like, well, not me, but how we might be pushed to think that there was something horrible. Because I mean, even the last live, someone was like, well, why Desiree had to get, the Mike and Tina set up. I mean, Ike and Tina set up, and and Stella gets to be, Reese from Legally Blonde. And I was like, well, like I don't necessarily think her life was better on the grand scheme of things, because I don't think both of them were free.
They were both in a type of prison. Mm-hmm. Even after Desiree left Sam, like that's still a type of prison. You had to go back somewhere that you didn't want to be. Mm-hmm. And the possibilities of what you could be like now are limited at this point in the book, right? And so and I actually do see these things as a form of violence, like Stella, between Blake and Stella, and I do think that it's not like this like thing that we all can visually see. We don't see bruises, but control is like when you are attempting to limit someone's ability to move really in the way they see fit, then that is like violence against me, because I can't do what I want to do, and or maybe what I've been born to do. So like they're both manipulative. It's just, I think we tend to, race is extremely something that we tend to associate with like, let me say Blackness is something we tend to associate with like this negativity. And so it seems like that violence is somehow worse than this other violence, but mental, verbal, and physical violence, they're all like based in control. So yeah. Sorry, I went on a little tangent.
No, that's real. Nope, that's real.
Blake wanted her to stay the same, to never be in a position where she would not need him or be too independent. So like he's controlling her, limiting. He's like putting his hands on her, like his like verbal hands, like don't leave. Like I've created this life for you. Yeah. And someone else said he wanted to stunt her growth and limit her freedom.
Agreed. I mean, the fact that he was mad that she showed up late and she was trying to grade her papers, and it was just like, bruh, it's a retirement. It's not even your retirement party. It's you. Like it's not your party. So why are you? He wanted to create this, picturesque family, like the nuclear family. So that's and give this sort of performance, and so that's another way of like trying to control her.
Yeah. So you want to go to the next?
Sure. Okay. So Jude is haunted, right? where Jude is haunted by her encounter with Kennedy and Stella.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's hopeful that they will one day have yet another chance meeting. Kennedy and Jude do in fact meet again, and the stark differences between the girls' lives are explored even more. So Kennedy has lived her life with the knowledge that she is a white girl born to two white parents. Her father is extremely wealthy, and she's been afforded the privileges of a wealthy white lifestyle. Jude, however, has lived as a dark-skinned Black girl and woman and can hardly relate to Kennedy's upbringing. So what impact do their childhoods have on their adult lives? And I guess I'll just read the second one. How do these changes affect their relationship with their mothers and their understanding of home space?
Kennedy is, to me, like the typical white girl, like college age white girl with privilege.
Yeah.
Who has everything handed. And that's it. And I feel like that's who she has been brought up to be. So, like, we don't really know. I mean, we see little pieces, but like, again, from like early on, and calling someone out like the N-word, you're not even reprimanded for that.
Yeah.
And so, like, or a conversation is not had at all, except for you did nothing. You did nothing wrong. You know, and so she's been coddled. But yeah, so for that.
But she do know her mama is a liar, though.
She does that. Yeah.
She's curious. And, you know, like, she will ask those questions, but something just, you know, I think that the comfort of, there's always just something that keeps her from going all the way in, you know, with her mama, you know. Yeah. So she's never really willing to really push her to the point of knowing the truth.
Yeah. And I think, like, I don't know, it's like energy is powerful. So like it's like preventing her from even going. How can you connect with someone who doesn't know themselves? So or is pretending to be someone they are not. And that's a life period. So like that's a life question. But and I feel like Jude, you know, like Jude is, I see her as like very kind of like independent and content. But then she, like, this thing happens that makes her want to know more. And it's an opportunity to learn, like, know more about her family, which she does not have that connection. And so, because she's always kind of been running, right, with her mom. And so now it's like in searching. So now this is a continuation of that.
Yeah.
So let's see this one. But it says the fact that it was easier for Stella to find her independence as a white woman, go back to school, etc., makes me think she could have mustered the strength to do. Oh, that's going back to like the other question. Yeah, definitely.
She had the strength.
I mean, we see so many Black women who have done that, like, and like, speaking of you and I, perhaps like if those Black women wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't be where we are. So, you know, like that, those are Black women that didn't pass and didn't think about, or we don't know what they thought, but like were, you know, like were, I guess, like have fortitude in moving towards, you know, their goals and things like that. And so she could have done that, but she chose to do something different.
She wanted that extra baggage. She was like, listen, I got a straight shot down the middle. I don't want all that extra stuff. And, you know, I think that's part of it, because, I mean, it's hard enough going to school. But going to school and then having to deal with microaggressions and people constantly questioning your intelligence, like, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, definitely. Someone said, oh, it went away. Oh, here it is. Kennedy is the book version of his daughter.
Oh my God. Yeah, I did think about that. I was like, Miss, what is it, Olivia J?
I don't know. Like she just, it's like I've seen you before, sis. Like Kennedy, like the whole like, oh, I'm suffering. I'm an actor, and I'm suffering, and I'm a white woman, and I have privilege. Can you give me my coffee though?
Right.
Like, so like the
as quickly as soon as somebody. By the way, help me into this dress. We just met.
right, like sis, no. So,
how did we become your assistant so instantly? But that's what it is.
so also it's also interesting that Kennedy has a similar spirit to Desiree. It's like Desiree hunts Stella no matter where she goes.
Yeah.
I mean, and like the fact that they're twins, like you could try to get away, but
it's somebody that look just like you.
Somewhere in the spirit, it's always like y'all. It's always gonna be that connection. So there you are.
this is random, but this was funny. Somebody in the comments said on the Facebook page that this reminded them of Tia and Tamara, and I commented back like, I know who's Tia and I know who's Tamara.
Yeah, definitely. So, and they act well. Yeah, that is like the. I mean,
Tia the black queen.
Maybe they should play in those roles. Ooh, did y'all hear that? Like the people putting together this film. Like we should get credit. Smart brown girl, give us credit. All right.
Who are they gonna get? I bet you know what, they might just get somebody to play both roles like they did with the Parent Trap.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Okay.
Bypassing twins? I don't know.
Someone says, I feel like Kennedy also feels disconnected from Stella. Like, how can you feel like there's a deep relationship between you two if you can't? Yeah. So, like, if you can't be who you are, there's no way to, like, truly connect with someone else. It doesn't even matter if you birth that person. So, like, yeah. I wish we could have had more story about Jude when she got older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there'll be other opportunities.
Other books about Jude.
Yeah. Julesy said, I really felt for Jude and I understood her wanting to dig into family since she felt like an outsider growing up in Mallard. Yeah. I mean, definitely she was like brought from this one place. She had to run here. They're hiding. She didn't know what was going on. People wouldn't connect with her because they felt she was too dark skinned. And then she leaves, you know? And so really, she's not even really connected that deeply with her parents. So she is like definitely perhaps searching for something more.
That yearning, because like even I think she even wanted Stella. I think she thought that maybe Stella would make her make sense, like make her identity make sense, or make even like her being smart or you know, whatever, that would be a connection for her, because she really was like, who are these people? And you know, we're related, but like I just don't know. And so I think that person for her was just the thread she needed, or the connection that she needed to feel like, okay, I understand me. Because I mean, you think about it, like when we think about our families, you know, there's always somebody, you know, that explains like a behavior or a characteristic that you have, and when you just don't know who that person is, and you know they live in the world, it's just kind of like, I think there's always going to be that missing part of you, and I think that's a part of knowing yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, we see it actually, I feel like throughout the whole thing, like not just with Jude and Kennedy, but with Desiree and Stella, like just this, it's a continuous search. Like, so, and recreating who you are really all the time. Someone said Desiree irritated me because she was so passive about raising her dark-skinned daughter. And Mallard, I wish she was more intentional about reassuring her through the years. But I also feel like I feel that way as well. I also feel like though, like she didn't know what that support looked like. So just like I don't know, it's just like she didn't have anyone to like put into her these thoughts. I mean, she wasn't dark skinned, obviously, but like everything associated with darkness in Mallard was negative. And so like how do you like create or learn these skills if you don't see them? So I think it was confusing for her. Like, how do I parent this child? Like,
and this is the only place I can go. And so I don't have another option. So I just have to kind of work with what I have.
And I feel like, so the only connection that they had was through men. So like through relationships. So like that was the way that I feel like that was the time that we saw them like in these sections of the book, like really connect in that way. But let's see. Jude definitely had the experience of a light-skinned mom who didn't really get it. Desiree's heart was in the right place, but she really doesn't get it. It's not as easy. Oh, you're pretty, Desiree. Yeah, like attractiveness and beauty doesn't make you a great mother. And there's no guidebook on mothering. So and she didn't really have a nurturing mother. So like how do we
Adele was sitting up there trying to put the hat on. Jude trying to make sure she didn't get darker. Like she was a part of it, you know. So they was both out there.
Yeah. Someone on Facebook said, Jude, poor baby, is trying so desperately to respectfully not inherit the life her mother has. Even with our own culture, it can appear that we are looking down on family members for aspiring to do more outside of the family norm. Or in this case, the Mallard norm. Like, it's funny. I like had a moment because I just been reflecting on that. Like, so getting an education is not bougie. Like, it's like trying to create a life that perhaps others didn't have in your family. But what do I know? So, like, but yeah. Reese is another great example of recreating or reimagining who you are. Recreating your identity is a strong theme throughout the book. Yeah, continuously. They're continuously recreating. Reese is a great example of that. Definitely. I feel like there are so many similarities, really, between Reese and Stella.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say this, and I was like, let me check my cis privilege here. But also I thought about like the theme of passing can actually really apply to the work that Reese was doing. And I don't know if it was as problematic, or I don't want to call it that, but I think that Britt wants us to understand passing in these racialized gender way, like how gender identity, how self-construction is a lot about being able to have access. And I think for him, the stakes were different, but so I was like, I wonder what she's doing with that, and playing with that. But I was like, I don't want to assume that it's I don't want it to sound like, oh, well, he's passing to look cisgender, and that's like the access that he, is trying to have. But it's a reality that trans folks experience.
So at first I was thinking that, and I was actually angry with Britt for like kind of writing it in that way, or like I was like, I hope she doesn't think that. Like, I hope she doesn't see it exactly in that way, like exactly the same, because like just in my view, like I don't
right. You don't want to
believe it to be the same. Also, like in passing, like someone said, maybe Vanishing Half is about the part of us we hide to move in the world. And so in thinking about that, perhaps when they arrived in this world, as this girl that their parents wanted them to be, and like, right, Reese, originally as they were identified at birth, perhaps that was passing and they couldn't pass anymore. And so coming to be Reese, right, this guy,
right,
so is the person they're actually supposed to be. So they're passing no more. So it's like for me, I was like, oh, maybe I'm gonna give her the credit for like pushing it a little bit.
Yeah. That's the article right there, because I was like, oh, I'm wondering what's going on here and how she's playing with it, and how is she reading it on to Reese a little bit. But I was like, nah, we can't. I don't know about this.
I mean, and even so, like the reality is that Desiree and Stella, both Black, right? Technically, Jude and Kennedy, boo, you got some Black in you, honey.
Kennedy, yeah.
Like, so here's the thing, like, all of y'all are Black, right? And all of you all, including Reese, are just kind of always transforming, always, and always playing a role, like always. And so it is changing. And I think that, I mean, it goes back to what someone said, recreating your identity is a strong theme throughout the book. And I think it's something that we do in our entire lives. Like who I was 10 years ago is nowhere near the person I am today. So like it comes from like reconceptualizing who that person is and what it will look like. Sometimes it's a little strange, like Rachel Dolezal, and you got to be like, no, sis, it's not for you. So, but recreate yourself in a different way. So,
Black for you.
Like, yeah, I do think. I mean, and I think the last statement, maybe Vanishing Half, is about the like that I mentioned about the part of us we hide to move in the world. It goes back to what we were talking about code switching last week. Like when you code switch, you're like turning off. It's like this switch. You're turning off that part of yourself, or the half of your, or whatever component fraction of yourself that is not welcome in a particular state. We also code switch, I think, because I was thinking about it over this week, like even in Black spaces.
Oh yeah,
code switch.
We'll turn it up, if get in, or we're trying to blend in, if you will. Ways that you can turn it up or turn it off, and tone it down, even in your own community. So you don't want to look too or sound too educated, even in that sense, or you want to sound more down. So
someone said recreation should not involve lying, and I think that is like the difference. That is it. Like that's the difference. That's like that passing that Stella was doing. Like you're living a lie, and passing from the person that they weren't to the person they are. Reese, right? Reese is no longer living a lie. They are being the person they are in this world, and the person that when they look in the mirror, the person that they see fully. Stella at any moment could be like, I'm done with this. I'm gonna just go back to like Mallard and just live a life. So it is like lying is the underlying component.
And also just having, I don't know, lying and also just having no politics behind it. Like just being like, no, just totally divorced, no sending no check, no providing access, Just, you know.
And the different, like, again, Reese, if we are looking at it that way, like, has transformed a lot. Like, I don't see it as like transforming. I think it's becoming. Right. And I think Stella is transforming into something that she is not. Reese is becoming the person they were meant to be. Right. And so I think that's like that major difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. I love this. I love I was like, if you could just plop out Reese and Jude and create a whole new.
That needs to be a community, okay? Like,
I'm here for this romance. Like, there was a point at the beginning where I was like, okay, this is about to go in a way, I don't know which way this is gonna go, but I was like, oh, this is just a really good love story. Like, so good. He loved her.
Yeah.
He showed, I can't spoil that part, but yeah.
Ooh, yeah, like don't. Okay. So I just want to, like, we're at the end of our time.
Oh, yes.
However, I want to remind people about our discussion. We're together of In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, the title essay, on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Same place. We'll be here. Same lively discussion.
Yep. And go get your syllabus from the website. Get this one because we'll be back again. Somebody will be back. I might volunteer to do the third one if no one does. And then we'll also get the syllabus for In Search.
Yes. All right.
All right, y'all.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right.